A very good morning, dear students. I am Sonam Dubey, Assistant Professor in SIRT Bhopal. Now, today I am giving the introduction of C++. Now, what is C++? C++ is nothing but a cross-platform language that can be used to create high-performance application. C++ was just a language which is just introduced after the C language, which is basically developed by the scientist Bizarre Strustrup as an extension of C language. Because C language basically depends on the function and procedures, but the C++ is basically depends on the objects and behavior. Now, the C++ gives performer a high level of control over the system resources and memory. The major languages was upgraded in C++ in 2011, 14, 17 and after that in 2020. Now, there are various versions of C++ like C++ 11, C++ 14, C++ 17 and C++ 20. Now, C++ is just a object-oriented programming language in which we have just seen it is basically depends on the objects. Objects are nothing but a real-world entity which have certain characteristics and behavior. Now, we can say the C++ is a combination of similar type of different objects that have some common characteristics and behavior, and these characteristics and behavior sometimes known as data members and data function. And when we just relate these data members into data functions into a single unit, that just introduce the concept of encapsulation. Now, the C++ just give the clear structure of programs, and that allows code to be reused again and again and with have minimum development cost. And C++ also is a portable language that can be used to develop application and easy to learn. Now, so what is the reason why we use the C++ language? C++ is one of the world's most popular programming languages because it has a multiple characteristics like it can easily use and it can be found in today's operating system and graphical user interfaces and operating system. C++ is an object-oriented programming language which gives a clear structure to the programs and algorithm. We simply just understood the concept of project, object, characteristics, functions and different kinds of methods. And by using these all things, we just make a simple program and that allows code to be reduced and with lowering development cost. Now, C++ is a very portable language that can be used to develop application that can be adopted to multiple platforms. C++ is fun and easy to learn. No anyone can use C++ language in general. As C++ is close to C, C#, and Java, it makes it easy for the programmer to switch to C++ and vice versa. For example, suppose we have learned a C language with different input-output functions like printf, scanf. So, just understood the concept and the logic of C language, we implement these code in C++ also and Java also. So we can say we can just switch to one programs to another. Now, what are the similarities between C and C++ language? Both languages are simple in nature and both languages have the same code structure. Both are following the same loop control and conditional structure. Both have a similar syntax and both are having a similar compilation process. And their basic memory model is very close to the hardware. Both the languages share the same basic syntax. Almost all the operators and keywords of C are present in C++ as well, and they do the same thing. Similar notion of heap, stack, static and file scope variables are present in both of these languages. As compared to C++ has more extended grammar, but the basic grammar here is the same. Now, what are the difference between C and C++? As we know, C++ is an object-oriented programming language. That means it basically rely on the concept of object. But in case of C, it is basically rely on the functions and procedure. That means if we write any program, so we have to just follow the procedures one by one. But in case of C++, we just write the code which are reusable. That means we don't have to read and write the code again and again. For example, the inheritance is the best feature of C++. In case of inheritance, inheritance is the property by which object of one class acquire the properties of another class. That means we can extend the feature of a base class into derived class also. And in C++ we have the features of data abstraction. That means we can just hide the necessary details to the background users. But in C that is not possible. And there is one more concept of polymorphism in C++. That means one entity has many forms. But in C language there is no concept of polymorphism. In case of C, it does not define the function inside the structure. So there are many differences between C and C++ language. Now the next one is it uses function inside a structure in C, but in case of C++ we just write the complete program inside the class, then the declaration of data function and data members. And C language uses the studio.h header file, but C languages use the istream.h header file. Now the application of C++ programming. As mentioned below, C++ is one of the most widely used programming languages. It has its presence in almost every area of software development. And the application software development in C++ programming has been used in developing almost all the major operating systems like Windows, Mac operating system and Linux. But in programming language development, C++ has been used extensively in developing new programming languages like C#, Java, JavaScript, Perl and Unix Shell. Now computational programming. C++ is the best friend of different scientists like in speed and computational efficiency, and games development and embedded system also. So we can use different features of C++ in different things. Now the data types. The C++ support the various kinds of data types like integer, long, float, duffel that has the memory used and the size range and with their precisions that are given here. These are also the example of data type. Now the characteristics of procedure oriented languages. It basically depends on the algorithm. Large programs are divided into smaller programs. Functions can communicate through the global variable. Data move easily from one function to another. Function change the value of data at any time from any places. It uses top-down programming approaches. Now, okay, thank you.